Congrats on receiving your A-Level results. Today, let's talk about an interesting statistic that's been making waves. According to a recent CNA article, out of 10,889 students who sat for the 2024 GCE A-Level exam, 10,255 achieved at least 3 H2 passes. But beyond the grades, what factors contributed to success? We spoke to our GP tutors, who have been through the A-Level exams themselves, to share their experience with the A-Level exams.
Craziest experience. So, how do you guys feel in the weeks leading up to the A-levels?
As a teacher, obviously you'll be more concerned about the students than about yourself. But as a candidate, there was obviously some rational or irrational levels of anxiety, right? And I think maybe this is something that students in general can relate to. Like, you can be prepared at an objective level, but you still feel like, oh crap, what if something goes wrong?
I think there was a lot of insecurity for me, especially because it's been many years. So I wasn't sure if I actually had the ability to read long form 3 passages, had the ability to write for 90 minutes without stopping. In theory, I know how to do these things, but I didn't know whether in reality I could do it.
The one thing I was anxious about was wake up at 8 a.m.
Wake up at 8 a.m.
Look at the clock and be like, oh no, the exam is starting soon.
Didn't you have that as a nightmare? That you were late for
definitely,
the exam?
Yeah.
It was you.
No, I had a nightmare of her. So I thought you were my examiner.
In the previous few years, we were only on the supply side of us giving consults. But for once, it's interesting to know you can actually empathize and feel with what the students are feeling when they are asking you questions, right? Because no matter how simple they are, you can also see why they would feel or have doubts. What did you all do to prepare yourself for the A-levels? Miss?
I went to buy pen.
Yeah, that's over there. Just nice. Yeah.
Yes, and I actually did try to practice. So I remember I asked someone to help me print practice papers, and I sat down and I did it. And I was very tired after that. That was the night before the exam.
Yeah. Oh.
Really, what was it? The
last minute Buddha link.
The Buddha's link.
My entire focus was on resist the urge to Google or check notes or do any sort of consultation. Treat this as if, okay, this is the question you got and there's no changing it, and let's make the best of it. So I typed up a very rough looking AQ passage live in front of them and okay, right, this is the best I could do.
But I think what you said was important, the trust, in the structure and the trust in yourself. But do you even have bandwidth to worry about yourself? Because I think many students come to you as well.
Yeah, I didn't do a lot in the way of practicing on my own secretly at midnight, printing out papers and doing them. So just in the capacity of a teacher, you would engage with the subject matter, right? Which might be a good way to kind of revise it, because you don't want to just take for granted that you can retrieve it come exam day. You want it to be in your active memory, right? Or the ideas, concepts, skills that are relevant to GP, you want them to be accessible. No, it's just easy for us because we are GP teachers, right? So we are thinking 100% GP, but then for them, they have to juggle so many kinds of subjects, which obviously makes it harder.
How do you all respond, right, during the A-levels when you flipped over the essay?
My first reaction was, oh man, all those people outside that were preparing for the AI and technology essay, I hope you know about trash. Because that's the question you got, and without it,
No spot questions.
So I found a good topic to choose to end up writing the education. So yeah, my feeling was, oh, I pity the people outside, but slightly happy, for the bell curve.
I feel a lot of pressure and anxiety as well. Imagine we teach and we talk about GP day in, day out, because that's our job. And even then, we feel pressure. What more students who have to juggle with so many things. But yeah, definitely anxiety. But I suspect some of us, when we flip over the paper, it's not anxiety for ourselves, because I think we generally have a couple of questions that we can do. But it's anxiety for our students, right?
Yeah, because there are students who tell you that, oh, if this doesn't come out, then I'm in trouble. Oh no, this person is currently in trouble. I also wasn't, super prepared for the exam, so I was kind of pigeonholed into writing one question out of the 8. Right? So I can also imagine that students would have been in a similar situation. I couldn't do the education one. I couldn't do the music one.
So after the exam, how do y'all deal with the doubt and the negativity?
What doubt and negativity?
Maybe because I'm speaking from my own position, like, yeah, I still feel like even though I think I wrote an adequate answer, there's a part of me who thinks that maybe it's not passable or adequate enough, sufficient for like a Cambridge examiner, who's marking my script.
The further you got from the exam, the closer you got to the results, then doubt started to set in. And then I must tell you, I went to buy the 10-year series the day before the results came out. I thought, okay, let's look at the answers for the Compre, because essay cannot look for answers, right? So I looked at the Compre answers. I looked at the first three and went, I don't think my answers look anything like that. Died. That was when I really thought that was it. I think my Compre no go.
Yeah, like even the smallest things come back to like haunt you, right? Because you think like you said you didn't finish like a conclusion or something.
I must say this on camera. I only wrote 3 paragraphs for my essay. I didn't write a conclusion. I think I wrote 1 sentence. I wrote,
therefore, humor is
something
important.
like that. Humor is the best medicine, but only in the right doses. Then they were pens
Also
down.
clever.
And maybe the sentence didn't finish, maybe halfway only. Then my AQ, I only wrote I think 1 paragraph. So it didn't take as long as it did for you for the doubt to set in. Right after the exam, I was really like, maybe that wasn't my best.
I was more afraid like, oh no, did my brain just completely skip out a sentence in my haste was the bigger issue.
But I think ultimately we still did well, right? And I think that's also something that we want to be able to communicate to the students. We always teach, okay, you must write 4 paras. Right. You must have intro, you must have conclusion, right? And we say, okay, you have to have this structure all the time. But I think it's also about making the best of the situation. What's the best that we can do at that point in time? And we have to trust that all that training that we have had and we have done actually does help us.
I think also it gives us a very realistic perspective of like what is doable in the exam as opposed to what we usually preach before the exam. Because previously I thought that AQ you need at least 2 paragraphs for it to be considered a good one. But then given like the time management and like the struggle to even come up with a competent answer, I realized I was barely 30 minutes to even do the AQ. Alright, which is why we only have like 1 paragraph for the both.
Both of you 1 paragraph.
Yes, just 1 paragraph. 2. Wow, that's bad, bro.
I mean, I was always the fastest exam taker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I write very fast.
Yeah.
That's why so many times.
So what are the key factors that contributed to the successes?
To me, the picking of the question was, in which question did I actually have something that I want to say? In which question did I have something that I genuinely had an opinion about? Which is, I think, what we try to push the students to also develop. And I think that's important, right? So once you have that emotional attachment to the question in that way, you are already above everybody else who's just going to regurgitate examples.
That's so true.
Not many students would have had an opinion on science center and waste disposal. Right? They feel very passionate about waste disposal. Without that passion, so confirm is just like talking out of your ass lah.
Was this why you chose humor? Like you felt something strongly for humor? Yeah.
No, not so profound. No, a lot of our students wrote question 5, the one on injustice. Right? And I would like to think that it's because they had important things to say.
Yeah, that's crazy. So perhaps maybe what kind of emotional or academic advice will you give for students so that they can prepare well for the A-levels?
You do take like a few minutes, right? Break, see what's going on Reddit, whatever. But if you're preparing for 1.5 hour exam, right? You really need to fight that urge. Train the way that you are going to have to do it. And part of it is don't check example. Part of it is really just focusing on not being distracted, right? And also not using the device as a crutch, as an ability to de-stress, right? You need to work through that. Yeah, you need to work through it yourself.
And I think that's part of the muscle memory as well, right? That if you do that enough, then it becomes easier during the exam to not feel like you need to take a break. Not feel like, okay, my brain shut down. right? Because you've had that prolonged practices of 90-minute stretches.
So I feel like I was able to write a good essay because, not because I had planned beforehand, like I knew the correct breakdown of humor, but I had maybe the technique of breaking down whatever the keyword happened to be. As the essay writer for our GV program, I always make our essays bullet pointed, right? That is meant to help with like teaching in class. I kind of say like, this is supposed to do that, this is supposed to do that, this is supposed to say this is supposed to link to this keyword. Having that in mind also helped me to write maybe better during the exam lah.
So I think going back to the structure gives me some kind of certainty, predictability of how I can manage the exam. Because without the topic sentence, we always emphasize like topic sentences in our class, right? What these ideas and arguments are, how to address the keywords, and that allowed me to get to where I am for the results. Playing to what you understand and what you're good at, I think that's important, and that shows us that there are many ways to study for GP depending on your learning styles as well. So that sums up all the questions that we want to talk about already. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to tell students?
As a final note, our AQ's format, every school teaches it differently, right? But our AQ format is vindicated because A, right? We all wrote the same way, right? Don't need to come and ask me. My school tells me write an intro. My school tells me to write a conclusion. I wrote no intro. I wrote no conclusion.
He wrote no conclusion.
He wrote no conclusion. We did it how we taught it, and we got A's.
So I think I'm very proud of all of you. I think it was very brave of you all to actually do this regardless of results, even though your results were great. And I think we took away quite a lot from this experience, and I think it makes us better teachers. It makes us understand what you guys are going through, and also I think it helps us adjust our expectations as well. So yes, thank you for doing this. And I think
Make sure.
going to do it again. Not sure whether going to do it again.
It's
See how.
See how.
Yes, professional exam taker here.